Welcome to the pilot episode of the Redshirt, hosted and produced by yours truly, me. My name is Camden Mowry, and today we're going to be diving into Ohio State's season thus far, as well as looking ahead to the game against that team up north, coming in a few days, as well as the keys to victory for the Buckeyes. Let's get started. We have another great week of college football in store. College football is the gift that keeps on giving. If you're not watching this top 10 matchup, what are you doing? This weekend is going to determine the rest of the season for many teams. Whether you're watching on YouTube or just listening, thank you, and don't be afraid to show some support and share with a friend. The more people we have interested in the great sport of college football, the better. But that's enough of me wasting your time. Let's hop right into some of the sounds from this year's Ohio State team.
If you're Notre Dame, you got to be alert for a run here as the last play of the game. Give it to him, train him up the middle. He's in. Touchdown, Ohio State. They walk it off at Notre Dame Stadium.
Third down and 11 at the 19. McCord over the middle. Harrison Jr. again down the sideline. Maserati Mar.
So as any Ohio State fan can probably realize, this season has been a little different for fans. It's felt like the exact opposite of what we're used to, with a great offense and a subpar defense, where we're not really beating the brakes off a team 66-17 anymore, but instead it's more of a 35-7 victory, which, hey, makes people around us believe Ohio State's not that good. But is this really the truth? I still don't get why people don't think this team can compete at the top of the sport with other people like Michigan and Georgia, because obviously the defense has proven it, and I believe in Ryan Day to get the offense going. All Ryan Day has done in his couple years at Ohio State is proven that he can develop quarterbacks into NFL talents. You look around, Dwayne Haskins, Justin Fields, CJ Stroud, guys like that he's had so much success with trying to develop to that next level. Now, like stated, this is a little different for Ohio State fans because the defense is allowing under 10 points per game, which we're not used to as fans. Usually it's been the offense that's been carrying the weight, and sometimes if they get into a shootout, they could just outscore the other team. While Ohio State ranks 4th in total defense, the offense is still ranked 35th, which isn't bad. They're top 50. I don't understand why people are watching and thinking, oh, they're struggling, when they're still beating these teams and covering against the spread. Now, people point at Kyle McCord specifically saying, hey, this guy's just a game manager. Honda McCord has been the name thrown around, and I'm here to tell you, he's 36 in total offense. And I get it, he has great weapons, so he's supposed to be able to produce, but still, he's not losing football games for Ohio State, which is really important, because when you're playing against good competition like Penn State and Notre Dame, you don't want to turn the ball over. You want to be able to play a clean football game in order to try to win against those good teams. Now, while it has not been the same success that we've expected from the Ohio State offense under Ryan Day, it's still been good enough to win these football games up to this point. They're 10-0 as I'm recording this, so hopefully nothing happens against Minnesota this weekend, but I'm assuming both Ohio State and Michigan are going to win. Now, heading to look at the Big Ten East as a whole, it looks like there's a collision course between number 2 Ohio State and number 3 Michigan. Both are undefeated up to this point. As of November 17th, which is today, Michigan opens as a 5.5 point favorite, and they deserve to be, even though Jim Harbaugh will not be on the sideline for the game. Now, you can feel however you want about the situation going on with Michigan with their sign stealing and whatnot, and they just fired one of their linebacker coaches, so maybe some turmoil going on there in the staff. Jim Harbaugh is going to resign. Who knows what's going to happen? Point being, he could still coach throughout the week. So I don't think this necessarily makes a too much of a difference heading into the game. Now, it sucks for Michigan fans that he will not be in the stands or on the field for the game, but he's still able to do things throughout the week. So I don't see that being the deciding factor of the game. And the line tells you that too. The people in Vegas still believe that Michigan at home is the better team and should beat Ohio State by a little under a touchdown. Now, the game, like I mentioned, is in Ann Arbor, and Michigan, rightfully so, they're the favorite. They've won 22 straight Big Ten conference games, dating back to, I believe, that loss against Kenneth Walker III in Michigan State when Mel Tucker was still coaching. Blake Corum also quietly leads college football in total touchdowns with 18. Now, most of them are from the goal line, but still, he's getting his jump cut back. He's getting healthy. He's able to produce a little bit better than he was at the start of the year, and that's something that Buckeye fans should be on the lookout for. While Marvin Harrison Jr., our own guy, is tied for 12th with 13 touchdowns, and he's been on an absolute tear the last couple games. Now, moving to the keys to victory, I've got 3, maybe 4. The number 1 is to limit explosive plays. If you remember watching that game last year in Columbus, it was solid up until J.J. McCarthy had that 3rd and 9 that went for 70 yards due to a missed tackle. Jim Knowles was calling some all-out blitzes that were a little bit questionable at the time, because as soon as one guy missed a tackle or one guy was out of place, it was a touchdown for Michigan. And I believe if you look, there were 5 touchdowns of over 40 yards for the Michigan Wolverines that day. And ultimately, those 35 points absolutely determined the outcome of the game. Donovan Edwards in the second half was able to run through the defensive line to put the game away last year. The second key of the game I have is to be able to get off the field on third down. We've seen Michigan, when they've wanted to, run the ball 32 straight times against Penn State. Now, while there is a passing attempt in that didn't count due to a penalty, it still goes down as 32 straight rushes. If they can run the ball, they will, and they're not going to stop, even though J.J. McCarthy is a much improved quarterback over Cade McNamara or anyone that they've had in the past. Not named Tom Brady, of course. Michigan wants to bleed the clock. They want to slow the game down and create less possessions for Ohio State's supposedly explosive offense, and they will be able to do that unless Ohio State can get off the field on third down. Michigan will try to stay on schedule. Ohio State will try to keep them off schedule. It pretty much goes like this for every game, but this is something to look at. If Michigan is converting these third and shorts, if they're getting into good position, it's going to be hard for Ohio State to compete. Now, the last key is really two keys. It's going to be offensively. They need to capitalize in the red zone, especially in the first half. Jesse Minter, which is Michigan's defensive coordinator, has absolutely shut down Ohio State's offense in the last two second halves of the last 2 years. If you go back and look at the tape from the last two games, it's been close throughout the first half, but then in the second half, Ohio State looks like a completely different offense, and that's because of Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator. Whatever he's doing, he's absolutely been able to get Ohio State off the field and either force them to kick field goals or just force 0 points because Ohio State goes for it on fourth down anyway. Now, this also translates to Ohio State being able to get up on them early. If Ohio State can get a quick lead and get a 2-possession lead on Michigan, it forces J.J. McCarthy to throw. Not that he can't throw, it's just Michigan seems to be more comfortable running the football, especially in the last couple years. Not really much this year, but it's something that if Ohio State wants to win, they're going to have to get up on them early. And I guess this can lead to another point, which is establish the run early and often. TreVeyon Henderson has not really been healthy for the last year, but now he comes back healthy and looking explosive. If they're able to establish a run and get some big plays that way on the ground, this could be a totally different game for Ohio State. Now, obviously, trying to come in as an unbiased fan, Michigan is still expected to win this game, and rightfully so. If you had to put your money on it, you'd probably pick Michigan because they're at home, they're a 5.5-point favorite. It would be an upset if Ohio State wins the game. But if Ohio State can capitalize on these 3 or 4 keys that I just gave you, don't be surprised if Ohio State goes into Ann Arbor and steals one back from the Wolverines. That is going to be it for the first ever pilot of the Redshirt. If you enjoyed, don't be afraid to give some constructive criticism down below. Let me know if you like this style of podcast. And of course, enjoy the college football games this weekend because after this week, there's not a lot left. We've got bowl games, we've got conference championships, and then of course the playoffs. But it's coming to the end of the season, and that's obviously the worst time of the year because then we have to wait 7 or 8 more months for college football to start. So sit back, relax, enjoy Thanksgiving with your family, and just have a great weekend.